New year, new me, which only means one thing. We're talking about your music taste again. Use code Ransomz for 100% off your next monster order. There's a theory that the music you listen to actually has an impact on your personality, of who you are. Now, whether that's true or not, I still think there's still something to be said about you, depending on the music you listen to. So we'll go over different kinds of music genres and talk about them and what kind of person you are based on the music you listen to. Because I 100% know all of you, and I know exactly how you behave. Not to like creep you out, but I have that like all like pre-downloaded in the brain. Also, I fixed my camera, so I'm not talking in like 180p at 2 FPS, so that's awesome. Last video got 100 likes, more than that actually, so thank you. So as promised, we're doing this again. So let's just get right into it. First off, we got pop music. You know, starting off something strong, starting off with something that a lot of people listen to. Pop music. Now, I think usually when people think of pop music, they think I'm gonna be saying like, oh, because it's the most popular music genre in the world, that means everybody listens to it. It's basic and listen. Now, even though it is the most popular music genre in the world, that doesn't necessarily make you basic to listen to it, and I'll explain that a little bit. And even if you are basic for listening to pop, that's not a bad thing. That's not against the law. But I feel like pop, just as a genre, is probably the easiest, you know, to get into. It shouldn't be a surprise it's the most popular. Like, just think about it. Pop is the most radio-friendly music genre. You know, you see it on your FYP, you see it at the mall, the radio in your car, etc. And I think as a result of pop music being everywhere, I feel like people just subconsciously listen to it at this point. Personality wise, if you're into pop, you probably like are very social, are very, very outgoing, kind of like out there. You're not nerdy enough to care about the music you listen to, okay? You actually care about touching grass. We'll just say that. You're probably into trends and not even, you know, necessarily in the music world. You're probably into trends on social media, fashion, that kind of thing. You're probably the kind of guy to scroll and look at a bunch of chopped chin videos. And that's okay. That's you. And whatever stuff like that. Listen, it's pop culture, baby. It's in the name. Next, we have R&B. Now, unlike pop, people that are into R&B kind of know what they want. They know their taste music-wise. It's like going to a hamburger restaurant, and before you even go in, you know exactly what you want. When the waiter comes over and says what kind of drink you want, you just say, "I'll take that order right now." Yeah, I'll take that order right now. I know exactly what I want. I ain't even been here before. Take my order right now. Take my order right now. Whereas maybe, you know, your pop friend is probably struggling on the menu for a little bit, you know, trying to figure out the best hamburger possible. Now, realistically, it shouldn't be hard to pick the triple bacon cheeseburger. But maybe I'm just saying that because I'm fat. I don't know. R&B fans, I find, really like admire the work. The albums they listen to, they love how genuine some of these projects are, in which I would agree. I mean, I would find many R&B albums like these ones that are pretty, I guess, more underrated, but they're just so creatively driven, and most importantly, they're really genuine. R&B fans can be picky about their music taste. They're no level to alternative hip-hop listeners, but they can be picky in some ways. You're probably a creative and artistic person, which can make you super cool and fun to hang around, or it can make you like really annoying. Last thing I want to touch on, I think R&B listeners kind of associate their current scenario to the album they listen to like really well. Now, of course, everybody can do this. You know, I've talked about it before on the channel, kind of associating what is going on in your life to the album you listen to, kind of enhance it. You know, I talked about this before. I don't even know why I think this, but I feel like R&B fans just do it best. Maybe I'm totally wrong and I'm just, you know, completely delusional. And yeah, that's R&B. Oh yeah, we get to talk about classical music. I think some people may have slightly different definitions of what counts as classical music. So I'll let you know exactly what I'm talking about before we continue. When I'm talking about classical music, I'm talking about the Mozart, the Beethoven, the Bach, you know, the old school. Now, I'm sure this is what most people think anyway, but, just wanted to give that clarification before we continue. Now, classical music listeners really range far and wide in both personality and age range. I think most people would assume that the majority of classical music listeners would be in the more older majority, which, yeah, totally makes sense. But what about the younger fans? What are they all about? If you're into classical music, you're probably more calm, more collected, okay? You're not maybe so much loud or outgoing compared to your peers and the people around you. You're probably more intelligent, like emotionally, and you kind of have a sense of understanding about yourself. You're probably like a total freak when it comes to school. So you're crazy about studying. So you're up there at 3 a.m, turn on that Mozart to max volume, and you go literally crazy. You probably have a strong interest in just Western civilization and Western history. You probably have a poster of Napoleon in your bedroom. I don't even need to say probably. You 100% do. Let's just say you kind of have yourself put together. There's just something about modern music that you just can't stand. You find it soulless. You find it empty sometimes. Not all the time, but you may. Now, of course, I disagree with that. But I think sometimes classical music listeners can make that argument and just say, hey, our stuff's just better because the meaning, the freaking psychology it does to your brain, and the freaking just the classicalness, and it just takes you back. Boring. But overall, you may just claim that your music taste is just superior to everybody else. And there may be a good chance that you have a superiority complex, buddy. But yeah, not much else to say about that. Classical music. It's old, it's classy, it's classical. Thank you, Mozart. Very cool. Next is indie music. Now, indie music, okay, let's talk about that in like a definition sense. Indie music, by definition, is just independence from typically major record labels. Basically meaning that if the artist doesn't sign to a label, they typically have more freedom to kind of do what they want to do personally, not necessarily what the label wants to get out of them. And that's kind of like the main drive to indie albums. People really appreciate the creativity, but we'll get into that in a second. Now, indie music listeners, I feel like typically know what they like, similar to R&B listeners. Indie music listeners are just really into the idea of independence, of creative inspiration, freaking this individualism. It just empowers them when they listen to this stuff. You may find the mainstream stuff a little bland, okay, a little boring, which makes you so much different to everybody else. And you really are an individual that stands out as a retrospective thinker. And that's really respectable. I think anybody having a mind for their own is always a respectable trait. You're probably more socially aware. Liberal alert. But yeah, I feel like indie music, anybody can enjoy it. You're gonna listen to an indie album at some point. There's a lot of them. But indie music fans, like the people that only listen to indie music, they know what they like. They will ride what they like. That's cool. I like indie music too. I think indie music is great. But yeah, not much else for me to say about that. Which leaves us with one final fan base. Finally, we have metal. Specifically talking about heavy metal here, but you can honestly kind of group all kinds of metal in kind of what I'm about to say. Now, I've actually had the honor of being friends with a couple of people that were, really into metal. And I can tell you, they're typically one of two people. On one side, they're the most chill dudes in the whole world. Like, you are the most compassionate, the most friendly MF I've ever met in my life. You just so happen to have a little quirky music taste. Don't really have any problem really with any metalhead dude at all. But there is another side to this.
Make fun of me, but will they pick a fight with me? Nah. Who wants to pick a fight with a guy punching metal?
You definitely punch metal for fun. Let's just say that. You're the kind of guy to be like, yeah, I punch metal for fun. So what? Well, what you gonna do? you ain't gonna fight me. You ain't gonna fight me, because I punch metal for fun. I punch metal. Now, okay, let me be totally transparent. I don't know a lot about metal listeners, like kind of more on a personality level, other than that they're great guys. They're chill dudes. Again, nothing negative to say about metalheads. It's not for me, but I love you guys. I love you guys. Out of all the dudes that are willing to talk about their feelings, I feel like metalheads do it the absolute least. Huh, that's plus 100 aura points for you, mister. So if you're a metalhead, give me some facts about yourself in the comments, so I kind of learn about you, just so I can kind of educate myself. Also, be sure to put your credit card information down below as well. This applies to everybody, so also, yeah, this is like week 2 of the weekly episode schedule. Yeah, I know. No, I know. And I'm kind of hoping this sticks and doesn't totally like go out the window, because one of these days I'm either gonna forget or I can't be asked at one point in time. So hopefully this continues. If this video gets 200 likes, I'll do a part 3. I kind of like this. I think this is really fun. So if you're into that, make sure to like, subscribe, please. Peace.